Why have you done this?
To prove to Father that I am a worthy son. When he wakes, I will have saved his life. I will have destroyed that race of monsters, and I will be true heir to the throne.
You can't kill an entire race.
Why not? And what is this newfound love for the Frost Giants? You could have killed them all with your bare hands.
I've changed.
So have I. Now fight me. I never wanted the throne! I only ever wanted to be your equal.
I will not fight you, brother!
I'm not your brother. I never was.
Loki, this is madness.
Is it madness? Is it? Is it? Come on, what happened to you on Earth that turned you so soft? Don't tell me it was that woman. Oh, it was. Well, maybe when we're finished here, I'll pay her a visit myself. Brother, please.
Excelsior, true believers. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at Loki, which is a nice, short, sweet one. It's all the info on what we know about this is pretty straightforward, because given its nature, speculation can literally go in any direction. And with Marvel keeping everything pretty close to the vest, a lot of that speculation is going to be real off. So let's just dive straight into this. Who's going to be in the Loki series? Tom Hiddleston obviously is coming back as Loki. We know that from the trailer, and that's it. As far as casting is concerned, anyway. We do know that Owen Wilson will be in this series. There is speculation, as I mentioned in the Shang-Chi video, that he could be playing a time-traveling cowboy, which just, if those words don't excite you, I guess we can't be friends. But no, in all seriousness, it does seem like the kind of character Owen Wilson would take on. He played a cowboy in Night at the Museum. He played a cowboy in Shanghai Noon, I think it was. There's been a couple of movies that the names don't come to mind, and while a lot of people might associate him with his comedy work and stuff in films, with frequent collaborator Ben Stiller, you've also got to remember that he was in, I think it was Marley and Me or Marmaduke, potentially both. So he does know how to do sort of more dramatic roles. He can obviously do stuff focused towards the kids and stuff. This is going to be going up on Disney Plus, so they're going to want to keep that Disney branding, family-friendly nature to it, and Owen Wilson can definitely do that. Plus, a time-traveling cowboy just seems to fit not only a good dramatic role for him to play and show off his acting talent there, but also it really seems like the kind of character you'd bring in as a comic relief sort of a thing. Like, there's Loki, a god, and his most notable companion is just a time-traveling cowboy. That in and of itself just writes a whole heap of hilarity that could ensue in this series. Other cast members that we know of are going to be Sophia Di Martino, Richard E. Grant, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw, all of whom are in undisclosed roles because, again, Marvel's keeping it close to the vest. What's going to happen in this? We do actually know fairly well what this is going to have happen. So it's going to be set in an alternate timeline created in Avengers Endgame after Loki escaped using the Tesseract. And he will be hopping across time and space and changing human history, which is, again, when that's how it's written and that's how it's been officially revealed as like that's the synopsis. What times, what spaces, what particular parts of human history is he changing? How is he changing? You can start to see how this becomes a fairly open-ended question with unlimited amount of potential. So we're just going to have to wait and see what comes from this. And honestly, I think that's more exciting, the fact that literally anything could happen. For such a known thing, it's also quite an unknown thing, and that's kind of exciting. Loki eventually ends up in, and I'm quoting here, space prison under the custody of the Time Variance Authority, the TVA. We did know that he was going to end up under the custody of the TVA because the only footage we've got so far is Loki saying he's going to burn this place to the ground wearing a TVA jumpsuit. But the fact that they specify that it's space prison could be interesting as to what particular kind of facility that is. Does it exist outside of time, or is it actually just like a is it just like he's got a cell in the kiln or something? It's yeah, going to be interesting to find out. When will it release is 2021, and I do have a theory on a specific date, that being September 17th. Now, why that specific date, you may be asking? It actually comes down to a number of criteria. 1, the actual day of the week. 2, the particular week in that month. And 3, the spacing between the other 2021 Disney Plus shows. So we do know for a fact WandaVision is releasing January 15th, 2021. That is a Friday. And it is the second week of that month, being that it's the second week? Third week of that month. It's in the high teens, or mid to high teens. I then speculated that because Black Widow's releasing in the US the 7th of May, and with Falcon and the Winter Soldier having a spring release date, but that really only leaves the rest of May, that would be releasing the following week, which I think ended up being the 14th, if I'm not mistaken. That also being the Friday. It's exactly a week after Black Widow opens, meaning that they can sort of assess the opening weekend numbers, which really is the most important figures for a theatre releasing. The opening weekend is sort of your biggest, like where you're going to get your biggest influx of capital on that particular film. So with that being the 14th, this one being the 15th, we could have gone with the 10th, but the 10th to me feels too early. So the 17th ended up being the date that I theorized this would come out. and it does still fall within that fall 2021 releasing that I believe is what it's listed as at the moment. So yeah, and it does also mean that the spacing between them is January, then February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, meaning that every 4 months, theoretically, we could be getting, or at least start getting, new episodes for new Disney Plus Marvel shows, meaning that whatever the show after this is, I believe it's Hawkeye, potentially, just based on this theory, would be sometime middle of January 2022, which is kind of cool. If that's the way they go, and that's going to be a constant sort of every 4 months we're going to get a new show, I'm here for it. It does also mean that there's enough time to have the 6 episodes come in, have a cinema releasing, and go on to the next film. We're not really going to be waiting around too long for new Marvel content. They're going to sort of keep us there, because yeah, they'll have essentially 2 months worth of a Disney Plus show, and then a movie, 2 months of a Disney Plus show, a movie, etc., etc., filling out the year, which is kind of cool. And again, this will be released on Disney Plus. That's the answer to the where question. Now, how is it tying in to the rest of the MCU? Being such an unknown, we don't know entirely. We do know that it will establish the TVA. That is a given. It's also very likely that this will set up Kang the Conqueror for either a more fleshed out backstory in Ant-Man 3, or him being the actual villain of that. If it is only going to be like more fleshing out his backstory and exploring the quantum realm, then it could really be setting him up to become the villain for a Young Avengers. Which, speaking of this show being that Loki's going to be moving through time, maybe towards the end, time will move through Loki, and we'll end up having Kid Loki at the end of the series going into the Young Avengers, where Kid Loki is one of those Young Avengers. In all likelihood, this is going to be a companion show to the Eternals movie, which I believe is the movie that comes out after this show, meaning that if this is sort of showing where Loki's been and how he's been changing history in this alternate timeline, where they're going to be jumping back to our timeline and seeing how those events actually played out in human history, being influenced by the Eternals. We may even end up seeing Loki in one of those particular parts, so that'd be kind of cool as well. So yeah, so it'll be a companion show to the Eternals movie, as it will be exploring the history of the MCU. There could be a possible Apocalypse cameo in one or the other, just to help sort of give us some more mutants. There is a set that looks like it's set in, for Eternals this is, looks like it's in ancient Egypt, so Apocalypse is kind of highly likely to show up there, being the first mutant. And it is possible but pure conjecture, that this could also introduce Hercules and the Olympians to the MCU, what with them being other godlike beings, which would be kind of cool, because if we're slowly sort of wrapping up the Thor and Asgardian side of things, opening up the mythology of the Greek pantheon, as far as Marvel Comics tells it, could keep that what's the word I'm looking for? Could kind of keep that like mythological role within the MCU still sort of open, for those of us who have enjoyed the elements of Norse mythology throughout the Thor films. So yeah, and that's it. That's all I've got for this video. Like I said, nice and short and sweet. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new here, and the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. How likely do you think it is that Kang's going to appear? Do you think that the time traveling cowboy Owen Wilson playing is going to be Two Gun Kid and therefore helping tie in the White Claw cameo in Shang-Chi? Do you think we're going to end up with Kid Loki? Where, if anywhere else, would Kang appear? Because it definitely seems like he's coming. And if I haven't mentioned it, what are you most excited for as far as possibilities for Loki opening up in the MCU? Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.